Hello, everyone. Welcome to the practical course on warehouse and distribution management. In this course, we will learn about cargo custody and conservation. Xiao Lu, the warehouse keeper of the logistics center, during the monthly routine stock-taking, he found that some items had not yet passed the shelf life, but there has been mildew. When the warehouse supervisor learned of this, arranged warehouse keeper Xiao Lu to inspect and protect the warehouse in case it affects other items. In view of the problems in the warehouse, what should Xiao Lu do? Goods may be stored in the warehouse due to improper maintenance, causing deterioration. Let's first understand the possible changes in the goods. There are four main changes. The first is a physical change. Physical change means changing only the appearance of matter itself, without changing its essence, without the creation of new substances, and it is possible to make repeated changes. The physical changes that often occur in items are mainly volatilization, melting, stringing, staining, cracking, etc. The second is a chemical change. Under the influence of the external environment, the nature and structure of the object itself has changed. It not only changes the appearance of the object, also change the nature of the object, and there is the creation of new substances, and cannot be restored. In severe cases, the item will lose its useful value. The chemical changes of items are decomposition, hydrolysis, combination, polymerization, oxidation, aging, etc. The third is physiological changes. Refers to the organic substances with life activities in the process of growth and development. A series of physiological changes carried out in order to maintain their life itself. These changes mainly include respiration, germination, embryonic development, ripe, mildew, fermentation, moth, etc. In the custody of the goods, the reasons for the quality change are internal and external factors. What are the internal factors that affect the quality of goods? Mainly the physical properties of the goods, process properties, chemical properties, chemical composition, structure and morphology, etc. The physical properties of the item mainly refers to moisture absorption, thermal conductivity, heat resistance, air permeability, etc. Process properties. It refers to the reaction of the shape and structure of the article under the action of external force. It mainly includes the elasticity, strength, hardness, toughness, brittleness, plasticity, etc. This nature of the item, closely related to its quality, it is an important part of applicability, firmness, durability, and appearance. The structure of the goods form a wide variety of items. Various items have different structural forms, so ask for different packaging. The chemical nature of the item. The main items are chemical stability, toxicity, combustion, explosive, corrosive, etc. The chemical composition of the item. There are inorganic components. In the composition of inorganic component articles, carbon-free, but including oxides of carbon, carbonic acid and carbonates, such as fertilizer and glass. Items with organic ingredients means an article of which a carbon-containing organic compound is a constituent, but does not contain oxides of carbon, carbonic acid and carbonates, such as cotton, hemp, chemical fiber, petroleum products. Impurities in the composition of the article. Very few single ingredient items. Most items contain impurities. Then there are many external factors that affect the change of goods, mainly including oxygen in the air, sunlight, microorganisms, pests, temperature and humidity, sanitary conditions, and harmful gases, among others. The first is the oxygen in the air. The oxygen content in the air is about 21%. Oxygen is very active, can interact with many objects. It has a significant impact on changes in product quality. Such as oxygen can accelerate the corrosion of metal items. Oxygen is necessary for aerobic microbial activity. It's the occurrence of mold rot in organic things. Oxygen is a gas aid. It is not conducive to the safe storage of dangerous goods. Therefore, the influence of oxygen on the goods is also relatively large. Various measures should be taken to isolate the effects of oxygen on the goods. The second is daylight. Sunlight contains heat, ultraviolet rays, infrared, etc. It plays both positive and negative roles. On the one hand, it can accelerate the evaporation of moisture from damp items, kill microorganisms and pests of goods. To a certain extent, it is conducive to the protection of goods. However, on the other hand, some items will change in quality under direct sunlight. For example, sunlight can make wine cloudy. Grease accelerates rancidity. Rubber and plastic products will age rapidly, paper yellowing, brittle, and so on. Then the fabric will fade. Therefore, according to the characteristics of various items, avoid or reduce exposure to sunlight. The third is microbes and the pests of the warehouse. It is the main cause of mildew and moth-eaten goods. The fourth is temperature. At room temperature, many items are relatively stable. High temperatures can cause items to volatilize, leak, melt, and undergo other physical changes, chemical changes. And low temperature, and easy to cause some items of freezing, precipitation, and so on. So, if the temperature goes up and down, it will affect the stability of the quality of the goods, thus controlling and regulating the temperature of stored items. It is one of the important work contents of the maintenance of goods. The fifth is the humidity of the air. A drop in humidity will reduce the moisture content of the item due to the release of moisture, reduce weight. For example, some fruits and vegetables will wilt due to water loss, dry shrinkage, deformation, and paper, leather products lose too much water will be dry and cracked. Increased humidity. The moisture content and weight of the article increase accordingly. Soluble items such as sugar, salt, fertilizer, etc. will agglomerate and swell, or further melting. And steel products will rust, textiles and bamboo and wood products will be mildew, and so on. Humidity is suitable to maintain the normal moisture content, shape or body of the item, structure and weight. Therefore, in the maintenance of goods, it is necessary to master the appropriate humidity of various items. The sixth is sanitary conditions. Poor sanitary conditions not only cause the appearance of the goods defects and infectious odor, it also creates activity places for microorganisms and warehouse worms. The seventh is harmful gas. Harmful gases in the atmosphere, mainly from fuel, coal, oil, natural gas, and other combustion emissions of smoke and dust, as well as industrial production process of dust exhaust gas. Pollution to the air is mainly carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, gases such as hydrogen sulfide and nitrogen oxides. Items are stored in the air with a high concentration of harmful gases. Its quality change is very obvious. In chemical corrosion of metals, sulfur dioxide is one of the important media that constitutes a corrosion battery. The air contains 0.01%. Sulfur dioxide can increase metal corrosion dozens of times. Make leather, paper fiber products brittle, especially metal products. Keep away from sulfur dioxide. Next, let's learn what are the main measures for the storage and maintenance of goods. Goods maintenance refers to the goods in the storage process. Maintenance carried out. So the main content is waterproof and moistureproof, heatproof, coldproof, windproof, sunproof, dustproof and shockproof, anti-insect and anti-mildew, fire and explosion proof, anti-rust, anti-poison, anti-aging, anti-volatilization, anti-melting, weathering, etc. From the analysis of the law of temperature change, generally, the appropriate time to reduce the temperature in the warehouse in summer, it was 10 o'clock at night and 6 o'clock the next morning. Of course, cooling also needs to take into account the characteristics of the goods, warehouse conditions, influence of climate, and other factors. The temperature in the warehouse is required to be kept within 0 to 40 degrees Celsius. Humidity is within 20% to 90%. Record the actual temperature and humidity once a day in the morning. Find abnormal timely report. Temperature and humidity records should be properly preserved. The thermometer and humidity meter in the warehouse shall be replaced every 6 months. The common methods of mildew and rot prevention are, first, low temperature mildew and rot prevention, by lowering the temperature of the goods themselves as well as that within the warehouse. On the one hand, it inhibits the respiration and oxidation process of biological goods. On the other hand, it inhibits the metabolism and growth of mold rot microorganisms, so as to achieve the purpose of mildew rot. The second is drying and preventing mildew and rot, by reducing the moisture in the warehouse environment and the moisture in the items themselves. The mold-rotten microorganisms do not get the water they need to grow and reproduce, and to achieve anti-mold rot. Then the third is the atmosphere mold. So here are a few ways. The first is that the sealing method is the key to the atmosphere. It is better to be airtight, and should be installed to measure the gas, temperature, inflation port, sampling port and other devices, sealed with inert gas, simple and effective. The second is oxygen reduction. At present, the more common method is artificial oxygen reduction and natural oxygen reduction. There's also the mildew and rot of chemicals. So the commonly used fungicides are chlorothalonil, carbendazim, and so on. Then let's take a look at how warehouse keeper Xiao Lu proceeds. Custody and maintenance of goods. As the problem of mildew has appeared in the warehouse, therefore, warehouse keeper Xiao Lu took the first step. The items in the warehouse were immediately inspected. In order to understand and grasp the quality changes in the storage process, he focused on the following items for inspection. The first is the items that have been found to be problematic when they were put into storage. Second, items with unstable performance, or that are not well understood. The third is that there are already slightly abnormal items that have not yet been processed. The fourth is the storage time is longer items. Then after the inspection, the daily inspection record form of the warehouse was filled in. When the item is found to have abnormal condition, we should carefully fill in the form of abnormal conditions of articles, and timely report to the warehouse supervisor. Handle it correctly. In order to minimize the loss of goods, measure and control the temperature and humidity of the warehouse. End quote. Since some of the items have been mildewed, therefore, warehouse keeper Xiao Lu needs measure and control the temperature and humidity in the warehouse. The temperature and humidity of the air are usually measured using a dry and wet bulb thermometer. In the library, the psychrometer should be placed in the air circulation, where the sun is not shining. Don't hang it on the wall. The height of the hanging is flush with the human eye, about 1.5 meters or so. The temperature and humidity in the library must be observed and recorded regularly every day, typically between 8 and 10 a.m. Observe once from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Records should be kept properly. Regular analysis. Understand the laws, in order to do a good job of protection of goods. For setting up a psychrometer outside the warehouse, to avoid the sun, rain, dust, the psychrometer should be placed in the louver box. The height of the thermometer in the louvered box from the ground is 2 meters. The door of the louver box should be placed facing north. In case of sunlight during observation, then the box should be kept clean, no sundries, so as not to cause air circulation. And according to the change of temperature, to open the air conditioning in the warehouse to regulate the temperature. Put more desiccant in the place where the liquid is easy to leak. Then, Xiao Lu also needs to adopt scientific methods to control and regulate the temperature and humidity of the warehouse, specific ventilation, sealing, moisture absorption. Adopt a combination of the three. It is an effective way to control and regulate the temperature and humidity in the library. It can be said that moisture-proof, mildew-proof, heat-proof, anti-melting, anti-dry cracking, and other aspects of the effect. Finally, when the item is in custody, also understand the storage, temperature, and humidity control range of items. The third step is to prevent the mildew of the goods. As some of the items have developed mildew, and the examination revealed some possible mildew, therefore, warehouse keeper Xiao Lu actively carried out the waterproof work of the warehouse. Protect items from moisture or water immersion. Need to check the ground for water, whether there is water leakage in the water supply pipeline, whether the sewer pipe is blocked, etc. Check the wall for waterproofing, whether the material falls off. Check whether water drops appear on the wall. Check whether the waterproof paint of the ceiling falls off, whether the tarpaulin is damaged or not, whether there are loopholes in the ceiling, etc. Not only that, we must also nip in the bud. Warehouse keeper Xiao Lu made key statistics. The contents of the warehouse are susceptible to mildew, such as food, medicine, leather products. The focus of these items on the ventilation of the cargo. Furthermore, maintenance methods have been developed for 4 commodities that have recently been put into storage. For Lux Brightening Body Soap, it is necessary to prevent moisture and moisture. For Gree Air Conditioner and Automobile Air Conditioning Compressor to moisture-proof rust. The Glory Router should be moisture-proof and pressure-proof. Good. This course has now come to an end. Thank you, everyone.